All right, so welcome, Devon. Devon Vander Voort was a student of mine in Teen Council, our first year of the program. So how are you doing today, Devon?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So why don't you start by giving us some of your background info? Where are you from? What college do you go to? What are you studying?
Sure. So I'm from Baldwinsville, New York, so not far from the Everson. And like Caitlin said, I joined the teen council my senior year of high school. And then I started school at the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. And I initially went as a fashion major, and then after a change of heart and the influence from the Everson, I changed my major to art history, and I have a minor in museum studies.
That's fantastic. Can you talk a little bit more about how you ended up choosing that major? What made you decide that maybe fashion wasn't right for you anymore?
Yeah, so fashion was always kind of a hobby of mine, and then I went to school and met some of the faculty and just decided it wasn't the right fit for me. And so I regrouped, and then I remembered just, working at the Everson and the experiences that I had there. And then I was like, well, SCAD has art history and also museum studies, which is really exciting to have as a minor because then you get a glimpse of it too when you're in undergrad. So then I switched my major my freshman year, and I hadn't taken any fashion classes, so it wasn't a total loss. And then, so I've been really happy with the art history program there. It's a really small program, so there's a lot of attention that you're given.
That's really great. So tell me a little bit more. You've done a few internship experiences, right? I know you're really busy with that. Can you talk a little more about those experiences and how you ended up securing those internships?
Definitely. So I met my boss who gave me my very first internship before I even started freshman year. I was doing an orientation with my school. They have a campus in Lacoste, France. So I met a woman there who had a gallery in Savannah, and I told her about my experience with the Everson and just a little bit about my life. And she said, when you come back to Savannah, I'll have a spot for you at my gallery. So I started working at her gallery my very first week of freshman year, doing an internship. And then I also helped her out with her Savannah Art Walks, which is a nonprofit event that is free to the public, and there's a list of different galleries on this walk, and then you basically go and support them, and there's different things that you can do there. And then a few months into my freshman year, I became aware of the Savannah African Art Museum, which is also nonprofit museum that's started by one man, and I've had an internship there ever since. And also when I come home on breaks, I did my internship at the Everson in the education department. So that's always something that I like to come back to, no matter what time of the year or when. You guys always have a spot for me to
Oh
do
yeah,
something.
have you back. You're welcome anytime. Can you tell me a little bit more about the types of projects you've worked on at the African Art Museum? Is your internship in any one department, or are you just kind of working across the board?
Yeah, so I started there as a docent. The museum moved to a new location and it hadn't even opened yet. So I got to learn about the collection without any people in the galleries. And so I started as a docent, and then as time moved on, I kind of started to help with collections management. And then I've had a curatorial internship there, which I've just been picking from the collection. The director is really great about that. She'll just let you present it. And my presentation date for the internship the show that I've been curating for this internship has kind of keeps getting pushed back. So hopefully when I return, I can finally present that. And then if the director and a few other of the staff like it, then I'll have a show that I've curated all on my own at the museum there. So that's a really good opportunity.
That's really great. And so, since you already participated in Teen Council, I remember since your group was the first one, we had curated two exhibitions then. Do you feel like that experience has helped you in the curatorial work you're doing now?
Yeah, definitely, especially because being in college is like a lot, but also and a lot of people don't have that background. So it really did set me apart from just being like the person that I've been there, because I had that like knowledge and I was able to like recommunicate it so that people at museums and galleries, they knew that I already knew something, even though I was 18 and I just showed up there and asked to work. So it definitely did help, just knowing all the different parts. And also it's the Everson's a great sized museum, because there's a lot of roles that we learned about in teen council that I haven't come across because the African Art Museum is smaller and galleries don't have as big of a staff. So it's definitely good to have that under my belt. And people are always impressed when I said that, I've been working at a museum since I was 18.
Yeah, that's definitely a great thing to have under your belt. And the size of a museum, as you know, can really dictate how many people are working there and what types of roles they take on. So it's really interesting to see that play out in all these different places you might encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice for maybe high school or other college students who are looking to secure an internship? I mean, what did you do that helped you really land that role? And I know that you are hyper organized and you have your notebook filled with business cards. Can you just talk us through that process that you go through to stay on top of things and what you do to maintain those connections that you made?
Yeah, I definitely think that the most important thing is just putting yourself out there and like maintaining relationships with people. Because if you meet somebody and you think they're really great, you have to keep up those relationships and nurture them so that they can be of use to you. And it's also just nice and a nice feeling to have people that you can talk to about their experiences, and have different mentors. And I think that it's really important. I share this with the teen council. I have a book, the really fat book now. It's like a notebook that I tape business cards into, and then I write who the person was, where I met them, and what we talked about, so that if I ever need something really specific, I can like look back. I have a lot of artists, so if I ever need to curate a show, I have all these artists, and this person does this and this person does this, and you can reach back out to them and keep those relationships. But I think the most important thing for just starting those relationships is to reach out to the people you already know. I mean, every time anybody says, oh, she's into museums, people will say, like family and friends, oh, I have this friend that works here and does this. So it's just, you have to like tell people where you come from, what you're doing, and then just ask. I mean, the worst thing that people can say if you're nice and polite is no. They can say, I don't have any opportunities for you right now, but maybe down the line, and then they'll think that this person asked. And just be really open and honest to your situation. If you really don't have time for something, like just tell them that, and maybe they can work out a way to work around it. If you think you're too busy in college, maybe do something on a Saturday and leave the rest of the week free for your studies. Just try to be as honest and open with that person. So I think that would be my best advice.
That's really smart. I mean, sometimes people hear the word no and then they're kind of paralyzed by that, like, oh my gosh, no, I failed at this, or whatever the situation is. And it's important to understand that a no isn't necessarily the end of the road. Sometimes it's just
Right.
not right now. So I think that's really valuable advice to have going forward. So I know that you did a study abroad program recently. I saw some pictures that you're posting about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, definitely. So my school at SCAD, they have a campus in Lacoste, France, which is in the south of France. And so it's about like an hour and a half to 2 hours from the Mediterranean, so if you think. But it's a very small town in Provence, and it's a 14th century village. So it's really inspiring to artists of all kinds. And so my work ethic didn't stop when I was there. They had a student assistant position, and so I was actually hired to work at the shop SCAD boutique there. So they have a lot of fine art and then art supplies for students. So I got to know a lot more of the people I was studying with, because I was helping them buy art supplies. And then my little bit of French helped me to like sell some different pieces. And so that was really great. And at the end of my time there, they have a big show, and the manager of ShopScad asked me to help her curate some of the spaces, and we were framing things. And so just a lot of stuff that I was really comfortable with, and she was really grateful to have like a gallerist help her out and everything. And so I made another connection, and she's a really great person to have, and she also is in the international art market. So it was really cool to study abroad and do that.
That's
So
amazing. So you have connections all over the world now. You're taking over. One question that we got from somebody on Instagram was they were curious, and I think you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but how is the coronavirus pandemic affecting your work right now? What kind of situation are you finding yourself in? How are you adjusting?
yeah, so my quarter, so SCAD is on quarters. We don't have semesters, so it actually worked in our favor because we didn't have to transition from an in-class to an online class. So I take 3 classes per quarter, and they're 5 credits each, so it is a full college schedule. And so I'm taking right now African art, museum education, and museum culture. So the museum classes are for my museum minor, and I was really bummed at first because the syllabus that I got originally for when my class was supposed to be in Savannah, we were just visiting museums, every class meeting curators, directors, everyone. So that was kind of a bummer and something I was really looking forward to. But I had my first class yesterday, and I have the other 2 today, and it's gotten a little bit better. I talked to my professors, and they've actually revamped the curriculum in a really interesting way. So for my museum culture class, the museum culture has changed because of the coronavirus. So our project is to do a case study on a museum and how they're handling it with the coronavirus. So it's actually really interesting. So, and I'm glad to be home. I didn't drive back down to Savannah, and so I have a lot of space to work, and it's quiet here, so it'll be okay. I'm more like hopeful for the classes and everything. It should be really good.
Yeah, it sounds like a great project to be involved in too, because I think now that we've sort of been forced into doing all these online types of things, it's going to be another tool that museums can use to reach wider audiences going forward, even when we come out on the other side of this. So, you know, it might be a positive thing that we can just take on as an institution, and another thing that we can work towards in the future. So it's really great that you guys are already involved in that kind of research right off the bat, because the rest of us who are already in the field, who chances are we haven't done a lot of these types of online learning projects, we're all sort of scrambling and, you know, being flexible and kind of flying by the seat of our pants right now. So it's great that you'll be more prepared to move forward since you'll have done the research already. All right. So do you have any last words of wisdom for high school and college students who are just interested in getting a career in the arts?
I think for now, just during, stay at home and until everything returns to somewhat normal, that the art world is like actually like thriving right now. I mean, I visited so many online like collections and spaces that I wouldn't have been able to visit anyways, because they're far away and stuff like that. So I think really like embracing and just like keeping up with what's happening in the art world is, I mean, as well as it's like really exciting and like fun to learn about, it'll help you in the long run if you just keep up with those things. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, just reading articles, and if you keep like art focused, then it'll be okay. And one of my most favorite things that I've read about recently is like throughout all of history, art has always kind of been a constant throughout wars and everything that you can think of that people have been unsure about. Art has always been there. So you can always take a step back and just use that to help you right now. So that's my last word of wisdom.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I think people right now are in such a state of panic and fear about all sorts of things, but it's nice to think that we do have this one constant that's been around for a very, very long time. I don't think art is going anywhere. So to be able to take advantage of all the museums that are putting content online that you wouldn't be able to get to visit otherwise. So thank you for that. And thank you again for taking the time to speak with all of us. It's always great to see you. And you're welcome back at Everson anytime.
Yes, thanks.